My husband pretended to care for his sick mother every weekend, but I discovered he was actually sneaking away with my sister-in-law. And the moment I saw them holding hands at a hotel lobby, my entire family shattered beyond repair. I need to write this down before I lose my mind completely. Before the walls of this empty apartment close in and suffocate what's left of me. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what I did, and what it cost me. It started 6 months ago. Not the affair. The lie I told that made the affair possible. My husband Jake worked in IT consulting. Good job, stable income. Came home tired but never mean. We'd been married 4 years. No kids yet, but we were talking about it. That's what normal couples do, right? They talk about the future like it's a destination they're both driving toward. Except I'd started feeling like a passenger. That's the lie. That's the seed. I felt like a passenger in my own marriage, and instead of talking to Jake about it, I watered that seed with resentment until it grew into something enough to justify what came next. His mom got sick in February. Cancer, stage 3. Jake's dad had passed 2 years before we got married, so Jake was all she had. Every Friday after work, he'd pack a bag and drive 3 hours to stay with her for the weekend. Help her to appointments. Make sure she ate. Be a good son. I told him I understood. I told him family comes first. I meant it for maybe the first month. By March, I was spending weekends alone. My friends were all coupled, busy with their own lives. I'd scroll through social media, watching everyone else live while I sat on our couch eating takeout. And that couchinger feeling got louder. Wasting 20s. Invisible. Married too young. More lies. But lies feel like truth when lonely enough. Then I met Marcus at a work conference in April. He was a vendor rep, about 10 years older than me, divorced. The kind of confident that comes from having already failed once and survived it. We were at a hotel bar after the keynote. I was on my second glass of. He asked if the seat next to me was taken. It wasn't. We talked about nothing important. The conference. The city. How hotel bars all looked the same. He made me laugh. Not the polite laugh give colleagues, but the real kind that comes from stomach. When did Jake last make me laugh like that? Another lie. Jake made me laugh all the time. I just stopped paying attention. Marcus asked for my number. For networking purposes. I gave it to him. That's when the affair actually started. Even though nothing physical had happened yet. The moment I decided to give my number to a man who looked at me like I was the only woman in the room. I'd already betrayed Jake. I just didn't know it yet. We texted that week, casual at first. Funny gifs. Comments about boring work emails. Then longer messages. He asked about I told him about the lonely weekends. About feeling forgotten. I didn't mention that Jake was taking care of his dying mother. I just said he was always gone. Marcus said I deserved better. He said I was too vibrant to be sitting home alone. He said things that made me feel seen in a way I'd convinced Jake no longer saw me. The first time we met was a Thursday in early May. Jake was leaving Friday morning for another weekend at his mom's. Marcus was in town for a client meeting. We met for coffee at a place nowhere near my office or my apartment. Just coffee. Just talking. Just 2 adults having a conversation. I wore the blue dress Jake bought me for my birthday. We talked for 2 hours. Marcus touched my hand when he laughed. I didn't pull away. He walked me to my car. Before I got in, me. Quick, soft, testing. I should have stopped it. Should have gotten in my car and blocked his number and told Jake everything. Instead, I him back. I drove home shaking. Not from guilt, not yet. From the adrenaline of being wanted. From the electric feeling of being someone's choice. Instead of someone's obligation. Jake called that night from his mom's house. She was having a bad week. The chemo made her so sick. She could barely keep water down. He sounded exhausted. Defeated. He said, he loved me. He said he couldn't wait to be home for good, once his mom was through the worst of treatment. I said I loved him too. I meant it. That's the part that still breaks me. I meant it, and it didn't matter. The second time I saw Marcus was the following Tuesday. He had a hotel room downtown. I told Jake I had a late meeting with a client. I packed the black underwear set I'd bought online and never worn. The tags were still on it when I stuffed it in my purse. I remember sitting in my car in the hotel parking garage, staring at my wedding ring. It was a simple band, white gold, engraved on the inside with our wedding date and the words, "Always us." Jake had saved for 6 months to buy it. I took it off, put it in the folder. Told I'd put it back on after. Like it was just an accessory I could remove and replace. Like marriage was a costume instead of a promise. Marcus opened the hotel room door in a button-down and slacks. Poured me from a bottle that probably cost more than our weekly grocery budget. We sat on the edge of the bed and talked for maybe 10 minutes before me. And this time there was no testing. This time it was certain. I won't describe what happened next. Not because I'm protecting, but because writing it out won't change what I did. The details don't matter. What matters is that I made the choice. Fully sober, fully aware, I chose Marcus over Jake. I chose feeling wanted over being faithful. I chose the lie. Afterward, lying in hotel sheets that smelled like detergent and betrayal, I checked my phone. Jake had texted, "Mom had a good day today. Ate a full meal. Doctor says if this keeps she might be able to come off some of the meds. Love. Can't wait to see Friday." I stared at those words until they blurred. Marcus asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. Put my clothes back on. Put my ring back on. Drove home. Showered until the water ran cold. Got into bed and pulled the covers over my head and didn't cry. Want to know why I didn't cry? Because crying would have meant admitting I'd done something wrong. And I wasn't ready to admit that yet. I saw Marcus twice more over the next 3 weeks. Same routine. Same lies. Same hotel. I got better at it. Better at compartmentalizing. Better at kissing Jake goodbye on Friday mornings and texting Marcus Friday nights. Better at being two people. Jake's mom was responding to treatment. He started talking about back his visits to every other weekend. Started talking about us taking a vacation in the fall. Maybe starting to try for a baby after New Year's. I smiled and nodded and felt nothing. That's when I knew something in me had broken. When the man I'd promised to talked about our future and I felt nothing but the dull weight of obligation. I should have ended things with Marcus. Should have ended things with Jake. Should have been honest about who I'd become. But I didn't. Because I wanted both. I wanted the stability Jake offered. And the excitement Marcus provided. I wanted to feel safe and wanted at the same time, and I was selfish enough to think I deserved both. The crash came on June 15th. A Saturday. Jake was supposed to be at his mom's like always. I was supposed to meet Marcus at the hotel at 2. I was running late. Got held returning something at the mall. Texted Marcus I'd be there by 2:30. He said no problem. I pulled into the hotel parking garage at 27. Grabbed my purse. Checked my makeup in the rearview mirror. That's when I saw them. Jake and a woman. Getting out of Jake's car 3 spaces down. My brain couldn't process it at first. Jake was supposed to be 3 hours away. But there he was, in jeans and a t-shirt. Helping a woman out of the passenger seat. She was pretty. Long dark hair. Laughing at something he said. They walked toward the hotel entrance. He had his hand on the small of her back. The exact same way Marcus touched me. I sat frozen in my car. Watching my husband walk into a hotel with another woman. While I was there to meet my affair partner. The universe had just shown me a mirror and I couldn't look away. I should have confronted him right there. Should have screamed. Should have demanded answers. Instead, I backed out of my parking space and drove. Just drove. Ended at a park 20 minutes away. Sitting on a bench, staring at nothing. Marcus called 4 times. I didn't answer. Jake texted at 6 asking how my day was. I didn't answer. I sat on that bench until the sun went down, and that's when it finally hit me. Not the pain. Not yet. Just the cold, clear realization. If Jake was cheating, then I wasn't the villain. I was the victim. I could be angry. I could be righteous. I could our marriage and walk away clean, because he'd done it first. Right, I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Instead, I drove to my sister's apartment across town and knocked on her door at 9 p.m. Looking like something dragged through. Rachel took one look at me and pulled me inside. Made tea I didn't drink. Sat me on her couch and waited for me to talk. Jake's cheating on me, I said. The words felt foreign in my mouth, like speaking a language I just learned. I saw him. At a hotel. With another woman. Rachel's face went through every emotion to expect. Shock. Anger. Disbelief. She grabbed her phone like she was going to call him right then and tear him apart. I stopped her. I need to think. I said. I need to figure out what to do. What I didn't say. I need to figure out how to use this. Because that's what I was thinking. Sitting on my sister's couch while she texted our mom, and offered to key Jake's car. I was thinking about how Jake's affair absolved mine. How I could end things with Marcus, confront Jake, file for divorce, and walk away as the wounded party. Everyone would feel sorry for me. No one would ever have to know what I'd done. I could be the victim. I could rewrite the whole story. Rachel let me stay over. I slept maybe 2 hours, my mind spinning through scenarios and scripts. How I'd confront him. What I'd say. How I'd make sure everyone knew he'd destroyed our marriage, not me. Jake called 6 times Sunday morning. I let them all go to voicemail. Finally texted him, need some space. Staying at Rachel's for a bit. He texted back immediately. What's wrong? Did something happen? Please talk to me. I didn't respond. Let him stew in it. Let him wonder if I knew. Monday morning I called in sick to work. Spent the day at Rachel's apartment Googling divorce lawyers and reading infidelity forums. All these stories of betrayed spouses, their pain so raw, could feel it through the screen. I read them and felt nothing. No kinship. No shared suffering. Just the clinical observation that this was the narrative I needed to adopt. Jake showed at Rachel's apartment Monday evening. She tried to block the door, but I told her it was okay. We needed to talk eventually. He looked terrible. Eyes red. Hair a mess. The shirt he was wearing was the same one from Saturday, which meant he probably hadn't been home either. What's going on? He said. Not aggressive, pleading. Did I do something? Please just talk to me. I wanted to scream at him right there in Rachel's doorway. Wanted to ask him about the woman. About the hotel. About every weekend he'd supposedly been with his sick mother while he was actually sleeping with someone else. But Rachel was standing right behind me. And I'd learned over the past 3 months that the best lies are the ones wrapped in just enough truth to make them believable. I'm not happy, I said. Simple. Direct, not a lie. I haven't been happy for a while. I need time to figure out if this is what I want anymore. His face crumbled. Actually crumbled, like I'd reached in and torn something vital out of his chest. Is there someone else? The question hung in the air between us. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. No, I said. This is about us. About me feeling alone while always gone. My mom is sick, he said, and his voice cracked on the word mom. I told this was temporary. She's almost through treatment, and then things will go back to normal. I thought understood. I do understand, I said. But that doesn't change how I feel. He stared at me like he was trying to see through my skull into my thoughts. Can we go to counseling? Can we try to fix this? I need space first, I said. I need time to think. He left. Drove away in the same car I'd watched him arrive at that hotel in. Rachel hugged me and told I was doing the right thing. That I deserved better. That Jake had taken me for granted. I let her comfort me and said nothing about what I'd seen. Nothing about the woman. Because if I told Rachel the real reason I was leaving Jake, she'd want me to confront him. She'd want drama and proof and justice. And I couldn't risk Jake defending himself with the truth. Because here's what I'd figured out during those sleepless hours. Sunday night. I had no actual proof Jake was cheating. I'd seen him with a woman. I'd seen them go into a hotel. But I didn't follow them. Didn't see them check into a room. Didn't take photos. If I accused him of cheating and he denied it, it would turn into he said she said. And Jake was a terrible liar. He'd never been able to keep a secret. If he was having an affair, he'd under pressure and admit it. But if he wasn't having an affair, if there was some other explanation, then I'd played my hand too early. I'd look paranoid. Jealous. He might start asking questions about why I was so quick to accuse him. Might start wondering what I was hiding. So, I said nothing, just let the vague, "I'm not happy" narrative sit between us like a wall. I stayed at Rachel's all week. Jake texted every day. Small messages. "I love pub. Please come home." Whatever I did, "I'm sorry." Each message felt like but not because I felt guilty. Because I was angry. Angry that he got to play the devoted husband while sneaking around. Angry that he was making me feel like the bad guy for pulling away. Angry that his affair was invisible and mine was still a secret I had to protect. Thursday afternoon Marcus called. I'd been avoiding him since Saturday. Hadn't responded to his texts or voicemails. When I saw his name on my screen, I almost didn't answer. But I did. "Where have been?" he said. Not angry, worried. "I've been going crazy. I saw my husband," I said. "Saturday. At the hotel. With another woman." Silence on the other end. Then, "Holly. Are serious?" "Completely." "What are going to do?" "Good question. What was I going to do?" "End it," I said. "The marriage, I mean. I'm done." "Does he know?" "No. Not yet. I'm waiting for the right time." More silence. Then Marcus said something that changed everything. "Do want me to help? I know a private investigator. Someone who could get proof. Photos. Evidence. The kind of thing that would make a divorce go in favor." I should have said no. Should have hung right then, and blocked his number, and gone to Jake, and been honest about everything. About Marcus. About the affair. About seeing him at the hotel. Should have laid it all out and let whatever needed to break just break. Instead, I said, "How much would that cost?" Marcus gave me a number. Said he'd cover it. Said it was the least he could do. Said I deserved to know the truth. I thanked him. Told him I'd think about it. Hung. Sat on Rachel's couch staring at my phone, and feeling the last piece of my conscience dissolve. Like sugar and acid. Because hiring a private investigator meant committing to the lie. Meant doubling down on the narrative that Jake was the cheater, and I was the victim. Meant burying my affair so deep it could never surface. It meant becoming someone I didn't recognize. I called Marcus back an hour later and told him to set it. The private investigator's name was Dennis. Mid-50s, gray beard. The kind of guy who looked like he'd seen every variation of human ugliness, and stopped being surprised by any of it. We met at a coffee shop Friday morning. I showed him photos of Jake. Gave him Jake's schedule. Told him I suspected my husband was having an affair and I needed proof. "What makes think he's cheating?" Dennis asked. Taking notes in a small leather journal. "I saw him going into a hotel with another woman," I said. "He told me he was visiting his sick mother. But he wasn't. He lied." Dennis nodded like this was the most normal thing in the world. "Do know who the woman is?" "Knew." "Do know where his mother lives?" I gave him the address. Watched him write it down. Watched him flip his notebook closed, and tell me he'd have preliminary findings in a week. I paid him half upfront, in cash Marcus had given me. Shook his hand. Drove back to Rachel's apartment feeling like I'd just signed a contract in my own. Jake called that afternoon. Asked if I'd come home for the weekend. Said his mom wanted to talk to me. Said she was worried about us. The mention of his mom sent a chill through me. Because if Jake really was visiting her every weekend, then his mother would know about the other woman. Would know Jake was lying to me. Unless she was covering for him. Unless the whole family was in on it. Or unless I'd gotten it completely wrong. "I can't this weekend," I told Jake. "I'm not ready yet." "When will be ready?" he asked, and he sounded so tired. So defeated. I don't know how to fix this if won't talk to me. I just need more time. How much time? I don't know. He was quiet for a long moment. Punishing me for taking care of my mom. The question caught me off guard. Not because it was unfair, but because it was partially true. I had resented his weekends away. Had used that resentment to justify Marcus. Had built an entire affair on the foundation of feeling neglected, but I couldn't admit that. So instead I said, no. This isn't about Mom. This is about us growing apart. We don't have to grow apart. Jake said, and I heard him crying now. Actually crying, we can fix this. Please, just come home. Let's fix this. I told him I'd think about it and hung before my resolve could. Dennis called me the following Thursday. I've got something, he said. Can meet. My heart was hammering as I drove to the same coffee shop. Sat across from Dennis, while he opened a manila folder, and slid a stack of photos across the table. They were all of Jake. Jake getting out of his car at a nice suburban house. Jake helping an older woman down the front steps. Jake and the woman at a pharmacy, at a doctor's office, at a grocery store. That's his mother, Dennis said, confirmed with public records. She's been in cancer treatment at Regional Medical Center since February. Husband's been visiting her every weekend like clockwork. I stared at the photos, my mouth dry. What about the woman I saw him with at the hotel? Dennis flipped to another photo. Jake and the dark-haired woman walking through a hotel lobby, laughing, his hand on her back. My stomach dropped. That's his sister, Dennis said. The words didn't register at first. I just stared at the photo, trying to make sense of it. His sister, Melissa Chen, lives in California. Flew in 2 weeks ago to help with the mother's care. I pulled her travel records. She's been staying at the Marriott downtown because the mother's house doesn't have a spare bedroom. Husband was dropping her off Saturday afternoon. They had lunch first at the hotel restaurant. Nothing unusual. Dennis slid across receipts. Hotel records. A copy of Melissa's California driver's license. Husband's not cheating, Dennis said. He's taking care of his family. I sat there, holding photos of my husband being a good son and a good brother while I'd been sleeping with another man for 3 months, and plotting a divorce and plotting I'd constructed in my own head. The coffee shop tilted. I gripped the edge of the table. Okay? Dennis asked. I wasn't okay. I would never be okay again. Because I'd just discovered something worse than Jake cheating on me. I discovered he never had. I don't remember driving back to Rachel's apartment. Don't remember walking the stairs or unlocking the door. I just remember sitting on her bathroom floor with those photos spread out around me like evidence at a crime scene. Jake's sister. His sister. I'd built an entire justification for destroying my marriage on a 15-second misunderstanding in a parking garage. Had hired a private investigator to prove my husband's infidelity, and instead proved his innocence. Had spent 3 months sleeping with another man because I'd convinced I was already the victim of betrayal. Except I wasn't the victim. I was the villain. And now I had proof. I called Marcus. Told him the investigator found nothing. That I'd been wrong. That Jake wasn't cheating. So what are going to do? Marcus asked. I don't know. Do want to keep seeing me? The question sat heavy in the silence between us. A month ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. Would have told that just because Jake wasn't cheating didn't mean I had to stay in a marriage that made me unhappy. But sitting on that bathroom floor surrounded by photos of my husband's loyalty, I couldn't pretend anymore. No, I said. I can't do this anymore. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, I understand. Take care of, he hung. Just like that. No declaration of love. No promise to wait for me. Because what we had wasn't love. It was just 2 people using each other to feel something. And now that it was over, there was nothing left to say. I blocked his number. Deleted every text. Erased every photo. Tried to erase the evidence like I could erase what I'd done. but can't delete guilt. It doesn't work that way. Rachel came home from work and found me still on the bathroom floor. Sat down next to me without a word. Finally asked what happened. I should have told her everything right then. Should have confessed about Marcus. About the affair. About the private investigator. About discovering Jake was innocent. Instead, I said, I think I made a mistake. I think I need to go home. Rachel looked relieved. Happy even. I think that's the right call. Jake loves so much. Guys can work through this. She had no idea there was nothing to work through. That the problem wasn't Jake. It was me. I went home Friday night. Jake's car was in the driveway. I sat in mine for 20 minutes, staring at our house, trying to figure out what to say. The front door opened. Jake stood in the doorway, backlit by the warm glow of our living room. He didn't come out. Just waited. Letting me decide. I got out of the car, walked the path we'd walked together hundreds of times. Stopped at the door. Hi, I said. He said back. We stood there like strangers. Like people who'd just met instead of people who'd promised forever. Can I come in? I asked. He stepped aside. The house looked the same, smelled the same. But everything felt different. Wrong. Like I was visiting a museum of my own. Jake went to the kitchen. Came back with 2 glasses of water. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the gap between us feeling wider than the 3 cushions it actually was. I'm sorry, I said. Because I had to start somewhere. For shutting out. For making feel like did something wrong. Jake looked at his hands. Did I do something wrong? No? Didn't do anything wrong. Then why did leave? How do answer that question when the truth would destroy everything? When the truth is that the monster in this story and the person sitting across from is completely innocent. I felt lonely. I said. Which wasn't a lie. I felt like I was always second to everything else. Mom. Work. I felt Aunt's eyes filled with tears. My mom is dying. I'm trying to spend as much time with her as I can before she's gone. I thought understood that. I do understand. I did understand. I just let my feelings get in the way of being supportive. I'm sorry I made feel invisible. Jake said. And the fact that he was apologizing to me made everything so much worse. I should have checked in more. Should have made more time for us even with everything going on. I know it's been hard. It's not hard. I said, and I meant it, we're being a good son. I should have been more patient. We talked for an hour. Jake told me about his mom's treatment. About how scared he was of losing her. About how his sister Melissa had flown in to help, and what a relief it had been to have family support. Melissa. His sister. The woman I'd seen him with at the hotel. I'd destroyed everything over a shadow I'd mistaken for a monster. Can we try again? Jake asked. Can we go to counseling? Work on communication? I should have said no. Should have told him the truth right then. Should have admitted what I'd done and let him decide whether I deserved a second chance. But I didn't. Because I'm a coward. Yes, I said. Let's try. We went to counseling. Started the following week with a therapist named Dr. Morrison who had kind eyes and asked questions that made me want to crawl out of my own skin. What brought here today? She asked in our first session. Jake looked at me. Letting me explain. We've been going through a rough patch. I said. Jake's mom is sick and he's been spending a lot of time with her. I felt neglected. We need to work on our communication. Dr. Morrison nodded, asked Jake how he felt. I love my wife. Jake said, simple as that. I want to make this work. Whatever I need to do, I'll do it. Meanwhile, I sat there with Marcus's touch still imprinted on my skin, and said nothing. We went to counseling every week. Did the homework assignments. Had the conversations about feelings and needs and boundaries. Jake tried so hard. Back his visits to his mom to every other weekend. Planned date nights. Left work early to have dinner with me. He was doing everything right. And I was lying about everything. 2 months into counseling, Jake's mom passed away. Peacefully in her sleep, with Jake and Melissa, both there holding her hands. I went to the funeral, met extended family who hugged me and told me what a good wife I was for supporting Jake through this. Met Melissa, who thanked me for being patient while Jake spent so much time away. I smiled and accepted their gratitude and felt like my skin was rotting off my bones. After the funeral, Jake fell apart. Not dramatically. Quietly. He'd come home from work and sit on the couch staring at nothing. Stopped eating regularly. Stopped sleeping well. Grief had hollowed him out. And I held him through it. Made him meals he barely touched. Sat with him in the dark when he couldn't sleep. Told him it would get better. All while carrying the weight of what I'd done. 3 months after his mom died, Jake started seeming better. Started smiling again. Started talking about the future. One night in bed, he turned to me and said, "I'm glad we made it through this. I'm glad stayed." "Me too." I said. "I want to start trying." He said, "For a baby. I think my mom would have wanted that. I think it's time." My went cold. A baby. Jake wanted to start a family. Wanted to build a future on the foundation of our marriage. A marriage I'd already destroyed. I couldn't do it. Couldn't bring a child into this lie. Couldn't look at Jake's hopeful face and pretend everything was fine, when everything was. "I need to tell something," I said. Jake sat. "What's wrong?" This was it. The moment. The line between who I'd been and who I could choose to be. I could tell him the truth and accept whatever came next. Or I could bury it deeper and let it rot inside me forever. "I cheated on," I said. The words hung in the air like smoke. Jake stared at me like I'd spoken a language he didn't understand. "What?" "When we're visiting Mom, I was lonely and angry and I made a terrible choice. I'm so sorry." Jake's face went through every emotion at once: confusion, disbelief, pain, rage. "Cheated on me while my mother was dying." "Yes." "Ooh. Someone from work. It doesn't matter who. It's over. It ended months ago." "How long did it go on?" "A few months." Jake stood. Paced the room. Ran his hands through his hair. "The whole time we've been in counseling." "We're lying."
Yes.
"Why are telling me now?" "Because I couldn't live with the guilt anymore. Because I wanted absolution, and I had no right to ask for it. Because deserved to know the truth," I said. Jake laughed. Actually laughed, bitter and broken. "I deserve to know the truth. Think that's what I deserve. To find out that while I was watching my mother, my wife was sleeping with someone else. I'm sorry." "Stop saying you're sorry," Jake shouted, and I'd never heard him raise his voice before. "Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what did." He left. Walked out of the house at midnight and drove away. Didn't come back that night, or the next. I called him 20 times. Texted him 100 apologies. Got nothing back. Rachel called me Sunday morning. Her voice was ice. "Jake called me," she said. "Told me what did?" My stomach dropped. "Rachel, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That cheated on husband while his mother was dying. That let me comfort and take side when we're the problem the whole time. I made a mistake." A mistake is forgetting to call someone back. What did was a choice. Multiple choices. And made every single one of them. I know. I'm trying to make it right. "There is no making this right," Rachel said. Jake was the best thing that ever happened to and destroyed him. For what? For some guy barely knew. She hung before I could respond. Jake came back 3 days later to pack his things. Moved them out while I was at work. Left his ring on the kitchen counter with a note. I loved more than anything. That should have been enough. The divorce papers came 2 weeks later. Jake didn't ask for anything. Just wanted it over. Clean break. No contact. I signed them without reading them. Word got out. Not the details, but enough. My coworkers started treating me differently. Cold. Distant. Someone started a rumor about why Marcus had stopped coming to our office. My boss called me in and suggested maybe I'd be happier at a different company. I resigned a month later. My parents stopped calling. My friends stopped inviting me places. I'd go to the grocery store and run into people we knew, and watch them pretend they didn't see me. I was the woman who cheated on her husband while his mother was dying. That's all I was now. That's all I'd ever be. I moved to a different city 6 months after the divorce finalized. Got a new job. New apartment. Tried to start over. But can't start over when carrying the weight of who were. I'm writing this from that new apartment. It's small. Clean. Empty. I've been here 8 months and I still haven't unpacked all the boxes. Don't see the point. I checked Jake's social media once. Just once. He'd blocked me. But I found him through a mutual friend's account. He looked happy. Healthy. There was a woman in some of his photos. Pretty. Kind-looking. Someone who probably never made him feel like second choice. I'm glad he found someone. I mean that. He deserves to be happy. I've been on a few dates since moving here. Men who don't know my history. Who look at me like I'm just a normal woman with a normal past. I never make it past the second date. Can't let anyone get close enough to see what I really am. Sometimes I think about reaching out to Jake, writing him a letter. Trying to explain. But what would I even say? Sorry I destroyed. Sorry I weigh something real for something empty. Sorry I let loneliness turn me into someone I don't recognize. There's no apology big enough for what I did. I was the passenger who grabbed the wheel and drove us both off a cliff. And the worst part. The part that keeps me at night staring at my ceiling. I did it all too. Jake never betrayed me. Marcus never promised me anything real. I manufactured an entire narrative to justify my choices because feeling wanted felt more important than being loyal. I traded a marriage for a lie. And now, I get to live with that for the rest of my